Yo, what is going on, everybody, and happy Black History Month. This month I'm basically just going to be doing a lot of videos relating to black superheroes and just kind of getting y'all more in the know about characters that I absolutely enjoy. And today we're going to be talking and taking a deep dive into one of the most underrated yet influential comic book superheroes in the entirety of comic book history. And honestly, one of my favorites, Static Shock. Most people honestly probably recognize him from the early 2000s animated series, but his history spans decades, multiple iterations, and a significant cultural impact that probably still felt to this day. From his origins in Milestone Comics to his complicated relationship with the DC Universe, Static has been through revisions, cancellations, reinventions, and revivals that really just showcase how truly beloved he is. So let's break it all down. The different versions of Virgil Hawkins, the behind the scenes decisions that really shaped his journey, and why he remains one of the most important black superheroes in the entirety of the comic book history and industry. Obviously, if we're talking about something like this, so we have to start with talking about the origins, the Milestone Comics point of view, and the creation of Static Shock. Back in 1993, Milestone Comics launched with a mission to provide better representation in superhero comics, founded by Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cohen, Michael Davis, and Derek T. Dingle. Milestone wasn't just about diversity, it was about telling authentic stories from perspectives that were often ignored in mainstream comics, which really is just a very heart touching subject to me because, comics usually kind of have a little bit of a problem in some things. I'm pretty sure, like, me and some of my friends were literally just talking about this a while back, where in Marvel, all of the black superheroes know each other and are friendly enough to be going all to the exact same birthday party, and we didn't know whether we liked or hated that fact because there shouldn't be that much overlap. But obviously, just kind of getting back into Static, one of the most standout creations from Milestones was Virgil Hawkins, Static Shock, a nerdy teenager from Dakota City who, after being exposed to an experimental gas during what became known as the Big Bang, gained an ability to generate and control electricity. Created by McDuffie, Cohen, and John Paul Leon, Static was heavily inspired by Spider-Man, if we're being honest. Like, he's heavily inspired by Spider-Man's youthful energy and relatability, to be more specific. He wasn't just a superhero, he was a fanboy. A kid struggling with school, family, and friendships, all while navigating the newfound powers. Static #1 was an instant hit, balancing action-packed superheroics with the real-world issues like gang violence, racism, and teenage struggles. Milestone Comics was very good at doing this kind of unique take on characters and making characters in a unique way that existed separate from the DC Universe's mainstream continuity, allowing Static to follow and go on his own path, and Static and his fellow heroes like Icon and Rocket just kind of allowing them to thrive in their own terms without having to be hindered or be brought in by the mainstream DC universe entirely. However, obviously, despite their critical success, Miles still did face, financial difficulties, and by the late 90s, the original run of Static Shock came to an end, but that was far away, just far, far from the end of Virgil Hawkins' story. And that entire reason is singularly due to the fact that an entire generation grew up and was introduced to Virgil Hawkins in a way that wasn't even from the comics. Even after Milestones had kind of gone out of the way, we got an animated series for Static Shock that lasted between 2000 and 2004. As I said, for an entire generation, their introduction to Virgil Hawkins didn't come from the comics. It came from the animated series Static Shock. Airing on Kids WB from 2000 to 2004, as I've already stated, the show reimagined Static for a new audience, tweaking his origin story and expanding his world with fresh characters and engaging story arcs. While the core elements of Static's origin remained intact, there were notable differences, obviously, because, kind of have to take some creative liberties, but the show introduced new characters like Richie Foley, Virgil's best friend who later became the tech-savvy hero Gear, and Dakota City was given more of the traditional superhero aesthetic. And obviously, Static's costume was obviously a little redesigned for a more distinctive look. What set Static apart from everybody else was his ability to blend the superhero action with the serious social commentary. Episodes tackled racism, specifically like Sons of the Fathers, gun violence, Jimmy, and homelessness, just providing that kind of, and just really proving that this kind of series wasn't really afraid to address the real world issues while keeping things extremely entertaining. Special guest appearances from Batman, Superman, and even the Justice League helped solidify Static as a part of the larger superhero world, and obviously, despite its popularity, Static Shock ended after only 4 seasons, largely due to the decaying and declining toy sales rather than the lack of audience interest. However, the show did leave a very long-lasting legacy, proving that a black-led superhero cartoon could very easily find mainstream success, and we have seen Static afterwards in the just TV screen animated, obviously, whether specifically just talking about him being in and being shown in Young Justice for a good little bit of season 2 and on, as a character that kind of just really reoccurs in a lot of things. But Young Justice obviously peak show anyways, just like chef's kiss out of the entire thing all around. But besides that, we have to talk about Static Shock in the DC universe, where the evolution begins. When Milestone Comics shut down in the late 1990s, Static's future was very uncertain. However, DC Comics saw the potential for this character and slowly integrated him into their universe. This transition was solidified in 2008 when Static officially joined the Teen Titans. While this move gave Static more exposure, it also created some inconsistencies. Was he still from Dakota City, or was he now from Gotham? Where were his milestone origins still canon? These discontinuity issues really plagued Static's DC integration, leaving his fans obviously frustrated. But during the New 52 reboot in 2011, Static was given his own solo series, Static Shock, and this book, really suffered from the creative team conflicts and was ultimately canceled only after 8 issues, which sad, obviously. But despite DC's efforts, they really just struggled to properly handle Static, and for a while, he was just sidelined as a character, not shown as heavily as he very well could have been, because he is just that good of a character. But yeah, continuing on, we have to talk also about the return of Milestone, Earth M, and Static's future. In 2021, Milestone Comics made a long-awaited comeback with Milestone Returns Infinite Edition, written by Vita Ayala and illustrated by Nicholas Draper Ively. Static Season 1 reintroduced Virgil into the main and modern audience while updating his story to reflect the contemporary themes, including the police brutality and systemic oppression. This revival captured the heart of what made Static feel so special, keeping his nerdy and charm kind of personalities and his rebellious streak intact, all while modernizing elements like the Big Bang event. Fans honestly embraced this new version, and I have very, very well. And DC is actively, and DC really just was actively collaborating with Milestone's original creators, so it made and felt like Static was finally back where he belonged and actively gaining more recognition like he truly needed to. But the thing is, obviously, with DC, there always are some very big problems. And the biggest problem right now that we have, specifically just relating to Static, is the live action film dilemma that we're having and everything that we just kind of don't know. Because for most people, probably wouldn't know. And if you guys do, good on you. But in 2020, when everything was just kind of going to absolute buffoonery, Michael B. Jordan was announced that he would be producing a live-action Static Shock movie under Warner Brothers and DC. And obviously, it is 2025 now, and we still really don't know much about everything because the details have been extremely scarce. And fans have been just eagerly awaiting for any singular update on who will play Virgil or how the film will adapt his story. But given Michael B. Jordan's passion for authentic representation in media, there is honestly hope that this adaptation will do justice to Static's legacy and how this entire character would go. But as I said, DC does have their fair share of problems, and hence why we haven't really gotten any information. Obviously, 2020 was a very complicated time in the first place, but we know DC has just been going very confused for the last couple years with all of the dilemmas on the actors that they have, everything that's just been going strictly crazy, just back to back to back. So a lot of the information on this is just so honestly just non-existent, and if you guys know anything about it that I'm probably just like haven't done enough research for, please let me know down in the comments, because it would be just good to make sure I don't get any too many mistakes in this specific video, because I probably have at least one or two already, knowing my just so short sightedness, but we'll worry about that at a later time. But either way, this kind of real thing where we could possibly get a Static movie, because he is honestly a perfect character to do a live action anything along with, because his character is not shrewd in heavy CGI or doing things that are gonna break the entirety of the budget or just break the entirety of the story. It would be very easy to do Static Shock without just having so many crazy and ludicrous things for DC to just mess up. So we could hope that we might get one day, but we'll see. But obviously, either way, even after all of these years, Static isn't just another superhero. Like, the main reason why I'm making this video is because there are a lot of black superheroes that people probably either do know or don't talk enough about, or just don't know in general. And while Static is honestly probably one of the more heroes that probably people do know, not everybody does. So if you didn't, maybe check out a couple of his comics, because as I said, he's not just another hero. He represents a cultural milestone. He's one of the few black superheroes with mainstream recognition, and his hero story resonates with a lot of young fans, and really just kind of gives them a chance to really see themselves reflected in comic book media. Beyond that, Static embodies everything that is great about superheroes. A relatable protagonist, a compelling power set, and a balance between real-world struggles and high-flying action. Whether it's through animation, comics, or film, Static continues to inspire. And obviously, before we end off the video, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that specifically being that little fact and that little thing that everyone talks about, oh yeah, but why do all black superheroes have electrical based powers? They don't. I guarantee you, for every one black superhero that you can name that has any kind of electrical based powers, we could probably find 5 to 10 that don't. It is just a very really just like not niche group, but there's like not as many as most people do think. It just happens to be that the ones that do have electrical based powers just also happen to be the ones that are the most mainstream and the most well known. So kind of just really changes up the scenario in very many ways. But either way, if you guys do enjoy Static as a character, as I said, I really would just recommend you reading comics. And if you don't know where to start and you want to explore Static's history, here are some essential reads. And obviously, the first we would have to have would just be Static in 1993 through 1997, numbers 1 through 45, the original Milestone series that started it all. So, kind of got to be a good read for anything. And then Static Shock Rebirth of the Cool, which came out in 2001. It's a great reintroduction by Dwayne McDuffie. And then, kind of just, giving you two more also, we have Static Shock Trial by Fire and Static Shock Season 1, the one that came out for, Milestones, Returns, Infinite Edition. And Static Shock Trial by Fire is just a collection of comics based on the animated series. So it's just something, and these are just some things that you probably might want to read if you ever really want to get into Static Shock a little more. But with all of that said, either way, Static Shock's journey has been anything but straightforward. From his groundbreaking debut in Milestone Comics to his animated series success and his complicated history, Static has evolved, struggled, and thrived. But the one thing really remains is true. His impact on superhero media and the fact that is absolutely undeniable. But what do you think? What's your favorite version of Static? How do you think DC should use and handle his future, in terms of whatever way? And drop your thoughts and any specific things down in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you guys can get more deep dives into the best and sometimes most forgotten heroes in comics. But until next time, stay charged up and see y'all later. Peace.